Hey everybody, look who's here once again, Jim Masters, and our special guest who's actually returning to the show. He was on when Chris Costello was with us, very special episode. Chris Costello, of course, the daughter of the beloved comedy icon, Lou Costello of Abbott and Costello. Nick Santamaria is here. And you know, it's so appropriate to have somebody on our show during this time of the year. They just lit that big tree at Rockefeller Center last night with Cher and Darlene Love and Barry Manilow and everybody, to have somebody that has at least Santa in his name. So Nick Santamaria, fellow New Yorker, Long Island boy, as I am originally myself. He is in beautiful Florida. Joins us again because we're going to spotlight his epic career as an actor, film historian, comedian, author, lyricist, and that's just all on a Thursday.
that was just today.
And I'm wearing one of the hats that I used to wear when I started the Jim Masters Show Live series in the early part of the pandemic. And that is 3.5 years. And now, as of this episode, 1,035 episodes later in just 3.5 years. And I used to sport this hat in the earlier episodes. And some of our viewers have been like, we missed that hat, Jim, you used to have on JMS and in Lovety Hall. And here it is. And I think you may have a hat or two right there in your possession.
Me?
Yeah, I think so. You've got everything there. Look at that. There he is. Tell us about that cool hat you had. Tell us
there
about
it is.
It's the real derby.
This is actually one of Jimmy Durante's hats.
That's the actual. Wow.
It's an Ola Cassini.
So that close.
Beautiful, beautiful hat. Look at the lining, and that's an Ola Cassini, which is very rare, considering the fact that he's dead. And this was given to me by Miriam Nelson, who was the choreographer to The Stars, worked at Paramount, dubbed the Taps for Hope and Crosby, appeared in Double Indemnity and Hail to the Conquering Hero. And she was just an amazing person. And I used to salivate over that hat. And finally, one birthday, she handed it to me. So
wow, how cool is that?
Yeah.
How did you guys know each other? How did you meet? How did that connection happen?
Well, one of the people I want to introduce you to is a lady by the name of Rusty Frank. And she is the queen of tap dancing. She goes all over the world teaching, doing seminars, lecturing. She wrote the book, Tap. And she's incredible. She introduced me to Miriam and at Fayard Nicholas's funeral from the Nicholas brothers, the fabulous tap dancing team. Yeah. I sat next to Miriam and made jokes the entire time, and we just laughed like idiots. And when people would say to me, "Oh, how could you do that?" Fayard would have been laughing right along with us, believe me.
Wow.
So it was a wonderful thing. So she became a very dear, one of my closest friends.
That's so cool. We welcome all the viewers who are watching from around the world live internationally, all of our loveties that are watching. If you'd like to comment, interact with us during the show, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV right now, and you can chat amongst all of our faithful who are chatting away in our JMS Lovety Hall chat room as well. So we say hello to everybody, we greet everybody, and we love your support and all of the great comments and all the messages we get about our show and our unique series, sort of bringing back that lost art of conversation. Again, I mentioned Nick was here not that long ago with Chris Costello, and people still talking about that episode. Wasn't that wonderful having Chris on to talk about Abbott and Costello and her dad, Lou, and some of the behind the scenes, and of course the affection that she has for him, and just really understanding what he's all about and sharing it with all of us. I think that was really, I think he disappeared. He went away. I think he must have pressed a button of sorts. Maybe he pressed a button, and I'm sure he'll come back. I guess that Jimmy Durante hat must have just thrown things off. Well, anyway, how's everybody doing? We will wait for Nick to sign back into the broadcast studio. I am Jim Masters. Good to have you here. And while Nick is sort of setting himself back up, here he is. Here he is.
You know what? Just
did your cat jump on the keyboard again?
That was my mom. No, I couldn't see any of the comments on the side, so I went to the YouTube channel and turned this one off so that dialogue wouldn't, go against one another. And it turns out that I lost you.
That you unplugged yourself live. Have you ever done that before? Have you ever unplugged yourself live?
Twice. Once in front of royalty.
Oh, really?
I'm still getting royalty.
You mean tonight?
Yes, tonight. Composing and lyric writing and authoring.
Exactly. So Chris Costello on, and if folks want to see that episode, it was really fantastic. Wasn't that really great to have? How did you guys coordinate? How'd you meet?
Oh, Chris? Oh, God, I've known her for 40 years. I was at the Maskers Club in Hollywood, the old Maskers Club, which isn't there anymore.
Great name, huh?
Yeah, huh? And right, not the Masters Club, the Maskers.
I know.
And so I used to sing there occasionally on weekends, and I was singing one day, and in the audience, after everyone left, there were two ladies sitting there, and I walked over, and it was Stan Laurel's daughter, Lois, and Lou Costello's daughter, Chris. Now, me being the lunatic that I am the ultimate classic comedy fan. I sat between them. And I said, if anyone ever asked or ever told me that I would be sitting between Laurel and Costello, I would tell them they were nuts. But anyway, Lois went home, and Chris, who sang with the big band, the Bill Toll Big Band Orchestra, she had a lovely voice. And she invited me to a gig, and I went to the gig, and we became friends from there.
That's amazing. You just sat down and there you were. And
I only did that once before with Sarah Karloff and Bela Lugosi Jr. They were in conversation, and I stepped right between them.
You picked some good people to just sit next to. I can only imagine the conversations you have on buses, planes, and subways. Is that seat empty?
Excuse me. Do you mind if I sit between you?
Is that Dick Van Dyke? I think I'll take that seat. Yes.
I would sit where the van is
on this flight, aren't they, sir? Dick?
I would sit where the van is. Dick Dyke Van. That would be me. Oh, this is already fun, Jim. I'm sorry. But
I think we need to switch the graphic to start with comedian versus actor and start it in order of events. How did you get into all of this? You grew up in the New York area, right? Of course.
In Massapequa.
And there's a lot. We were talking about that. There's been a lot of talent that have come from, of course, New York, but Long Island and Massapequa. It's something in the water. I mean, Steve Guttenberg and Jerry Seinfeld and the Baldwin brothers and
the Stray Cats.
Yeah, right. And was Pat Benatar from there? I know she's from Long Island.
I'm not sure if she was from Massapequa. I'd never heard that she was from
Billy Joel's from Huntington, I believe.
That's right.
Yeah. So did you come from a family that was always laughing, and were they jovial? Was it, or you the breakout that made the rest of them laugh?
Yeah, it was kind of, they were not show business at all. I always tell them now that, if you were smart, you would have paid attention and you would have seen what I can do when I was a little kid. And because I didn't get any encouragement or interest, really, I was afraid to perform in front of them. So I was an outside hit. The minute I leave the house, I suddenly became, Henny Youngman. And by the time I was 15, I was doing stand-up clubs. I wasn't allowed to go in and sit, but I was allowed to perform.
Isn't it amazing? So what was your comedy? What was the routine? What did you offer at that age? And were you patterning yourself after some of the legends, or did you sort of carve out your own niche?
At that point, I really wasn't sure who I was. And you have to know who you are in order to do good comedy. I was imitating people like the Ritz Brothers and, all these acts that were, already gone. And I remember our agent, who was also Eddie Murphy's agent back then.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy, also from Long Island.
From Long Island. We used to play the same White House Inn. Do you remember the White House Inn?
Oh, sure, yes.
So anyway, our agent used to introduce us as, oh, here they are, a real throwback to the days of the Ritz brothers and Olsen and Johnson. And he'd mention all these like obscure people. And we'd go up, and I say we because I was part of a comedy team. And we used to do sketches. We did a news sketch, of course. We did a game show sketch, which was really quite good. I for 15, definitely. And, it went from there. But then we moved to Florida just as I was getting started. So I had to finish high school and blah, 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 blah. I used to sing at a little place down here, just to get my digs in. But otherwise,
chops and yeah. Now, when you went to Florida, did the routine change? Was it a different audience? Different, a New York audience is a New York audience, one of the best audiences you could have in terms of enthusiasm and response,
and sophistication as well. But in Florida, you have to understand that most everybody was from New York.
Oh yeah, we have family there. We were telling you for the holidays we're going, and a lot of the neighbors, all new houses and everything else. And a lot of the neighbors, they thought when they were moving to Florida that they were going to be amongst folks who are born and raised Floridian. Connecticut, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. They're from Westchester and Long Island, and so many. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Where I am,
actually the East Coast.
Yeah. But it's weird because you go a little north where I am. I'm on Hutchinson Island, and it's people from Michigan and Minneapolis,
yes,
Ohio,
the Midwest, Canada.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
A lot of Canadians go to the West Coast. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you go to Florida, and you're going from New York to Florida. How did you create your own opportunities there?
Well, interesting, because we moved as I was going from 11th grade into my senior year. So in school, as I was finishing my 11th year, I started doing a couple of plays, and the guy in charge of the drama department was all over me. He was like, I've got to work with you next year. I want you to be the comic lead in Anything Goes we're doing next year, the senior play. It was a big deal. And he never asked somebody before he saw auditions. So it was a very big deal that he asked me. And I had to tell him, I'm sorry, we're moving to Florida. So I had to start all over again in my senior year. And it just happened that there was a drama department. I kind of took over in a way. I used to sit in my drama teacher's office with my feet on her desk using her phone for like the first 3 periods. I was fully utilizing my star power. At Coconut
First
Creek.
3 periods?
You watch it.
That's a very long time on the phone. That must
Very
have been.
long.
Who paid for that call? I hope it was collect.
We all paid for it in a way.
Yeah, you got Fs because of her periods. You got Fs.
I don't know about her menstrual cycle, but
Am
I allowed to say that?
I love how people say that after they did.
I know. That's the safe way. So anyway, I graduate. I win awards at state competitions, blah blah blah, and I say, this one guy, I won an award at this college at Florida State University, and the teacher had all his students looking for me, and he wants to talk to you. He wants to talk. I'm like, okay, whatever. I go. He asked me to come and study with him. I want to work with you. And I looked him right in the eye and said, no. I'm going to New York. I'm ready to go back to New York. That's what I did. Wow. And unfortunately, I was only 18. I never lived on my own before, and I flopped terribly that summer. Yeah. Came back home with my tail between my legs, worked for a year, then moved to Los Angeles, where I was for the first time. That was 1979. And did stand-up. Once I got to Los Angeles, got involved with that world and comedy improv and all of that. Did my first TV stuff, and then went back to Florida. What was
the first TV stuff when you started? What was the very first stuff that came your way?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
The very first show I did was very exciting. It was the Buffalo Bill Show.
Oh, yes.
Starring Dabney Coleman and Gina Davis.
Yeah.
And I got a role playing young Jerry Lewis. because
Oh.
I do a great Jerry Lewis. And
Now, when you say that, you know what people are going to say.
he's dead.
Let's hear it.
No, yeah, let's hear it.
Pretending we're at the Friars Club.
Oh, Dean. Oh, that's all bad. That is a bad. No hitting. I'm a bleeder. Oh, Dean. It's like that.
I was busy typing.
Yeah. My friend Stan Taffel does that perfectly, by the way. He's another
Did you ever meet Jerry Lewis?
Yes, twice.
Did. Yeah. What? And was he aware? was, was he aware that you met him?
He was when I stepped on his foot. No,
He
was not a very pleasant fellow.
Was that the year that we never saw you for about 12 months?
Yes. I was in Dean Martin's cabinet.
You were in the cabinet. That must have been something to, hear you were able to do the impressions and everything else, and you actually meet him. Was he an idol of yours? Somebody that you always...
He's one of those people that I appreciated when I was a child. And as I got older and his real personality started seeping in, I wasn't as interested. And I find his stuff very hit and miss now. A little bit goes a long way. Let's put it that way.
Right. Now, you would be saying something different if you were in Paris right now, I'd imagine.
I would be saying, Je vous aime la croix, je la matin, la croix, c'est la faton, exactly like that.
Exactly. Who are some of the other folks that you also admired? Did you admire the Phyllis Dillers, the Rodney Dangerfields, the Ernie Kovacs, all of these people? Yeah, Kovacs.
Well, my things go back. My likes and idols go way back. Chaplin, number one. He's nobody touches him. He's the ultimate comic genius and always will be. I don't think anyone will ever top him. As far as talking comedians, W.C. Fields kills me. He puts me away. He's one of the funniest human beings ever to put two legs on earth. Groucho Marx and the Marx Brothers, Harpo especially, really touched my heart. Abbott and Costello, as you know. Lou Costello was really my first idol. I took one look at him and knew what I was going to be for the rest of my life.
Really? It was because of Lou. Yeah.
I was very lucky that way. Yeah, I knew.
What was it about Lou Costello that really resonated? Because you probably watched the Abbott and Costello movies and everything on WPIX Channel 11 on the weekends, right? When they would have all of that. And we remember it well. It was sometimes Saturdays, sometimes Sundays. They would mix it up a little bit. But was it watching it then what turned you on? What was it about Abbott and Costello and then Lou that really gravitated?
I loved them both. They were both so professional and so great. But let's face it, Lou was one of us. Lou was a child. He was a child, and Bud was the parent. So you immediately, relate to that little child man who was innocent, yet he was, capable of turning the tables on the straight man, on Bud. There was something about his childlike innocence that connected with me, It might also be that I was a chubby little child, and I related to this little guy, this little chubby guy. And he was Italian. So am I. So, I guess there was a lot of,
You just felt like he could almost have been like an uncle or somebody in the family, right?
Most definitely. I always had that feeling about him. He died 3 weeks before I was born.
Yeah. Everybody's now Googling those dates,
Go ahead. I don't care.
You're going to Google those dates. That's what happens.
I'll be 65 next March.
Congratulations. You look fantastic.
Thank you.
What's the secret? And everybody wants to know, probably now that you said that, what's your skin regimen? The Florida sun, right? The Florida sun and lots of orange juice.
Lots of orange juice. Basically, lots of olive oil. I come from very good genetics. My father was 90 and everybody said he looked 70, My mom actually up until very recently looked a lot younger than her 92 years. And my brothers and my sister too are like that. So we're very lucky that way.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So olive oil, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Do you bathe in it or? It's,
I use it in my cereal. I mean, it's everything. I have olive oil flavored gum that I chew.
so you're in California and Buffalo Bill. And then what happened from there? Did other television opportunities develop for you, other shows? And was that something, because you had the comedic background, was the acting bug something that was attracting you? And were the two worlds pulling you apart, competing against one another? I mean, the comedian and comedy, and then you could just focus completely on acting. How was it happening for you while you were there in Tinseltown?
Well, there was not a problem. There wasn't this going on because it was very well separated. If you did stand-up comedy back then, you were scheduled. So you knew you had to be at the Improv on Sunday, hopefully you were going on for so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. Or you were doing, a show somewhere else. So you knew when you were doing the shows, and it was always at night. So in order to go out on auditions for television shows or films, whatever it was, you had all the time in the world, or I had all the time in the world. It turned out that the Buffalo Bill show, how hard, I don't know if you know this, but back then it was almost impossible to get your SAG card. You couldn't get a SAG job without a SAG card, and you couldn't get a SAG card without a SAG job.
And now it's SAG-AFTRA, right?
Right, now it's SAG-AFTRA, which means double the cost. But I was there and I spoke with the director, who was a very nice man. And I said, I was promised my SAG card for this, and now you're telling me you're not going to give it to me. So to make up for it, he had me on for the entire week rather than the 2 days that I was supposed to be working. So that was kind of compensation for me, but I wanted that SAG card. And I was so disappointed that I got so close that it turned me off to California for a while. But I did get some wonderful experience. I was one of the Comedy Store players. I worked with Sam Kinison. He was part of our players. In fact, with my great wisdom and my great foresight, a friend of mine was sitting there, and Sam would go on and do stand-up after we did sketches and improv. He would get up and try his stuff. And my friend said, "Oh, what do you think of him? I think he's great." And I said, "No, he screams too much." Now, if you remember Sam Kinison, that was his act.
Oh my God. What are you talking about? Right. That was his whole routine. Yeah. That was his whole routine. It was unique, wasn't it?
Very. Oh, at the time? Very. Yeah.
He would have done even better if he had sort of tied in with a sore throat lozenge company like Luton's or something as a sponsor.
The Smith Brothers.
Right. As a sponsor, that would be
very funny. It's very good, Jim.
Thank you. Yes, the Irish is turned on tonight.
Yeah, man.
It must be the hat. Once that hat goes on,
It must be the hat.
I'm in Dublin or whatever.
I'm Dublin over.
Right. Very good. All right.
All right. Up here.
What does Don Rickles would say? Okay. 1 for Rickles and 4 for Carson or whatever.
Jerry Lewis used to say, that's 1 in a row.
That's 1 in a row. Exactly. And sometimes he would also, if somebody had a twitch or something was going on, and Rickles would go, "How long have you had that?"
He'd look in the front row and he'd see a couple and he'd say, "Is that your wife?" And he'd go, "Yeah." And he'd go, "Ooh." Was it a bus?
What had happened? And it's amazing because, that world, that shtick, I don't know today if that would be something that would be occurring. No, probably not. Though he would do what he did in jest.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And always would say that. It's just. But
his did you ever see his last television appearances, his last talk show appearances?
Yeah.
People would boo him from the audience.
That's what it is. Yeah. Right.
We lost our sense of humor.
If you fart a way that they don't like, you're up a creek. You know what I mean? That was high frequency. I'm offended.
I'm offended.
I only accept low frequency sounds.
You're about to be canceled, pal.
Is it the tinnitus or exactly? That's what it would be, right?
You'd be canceled.
It would be crazy. You wouldn't even make it to 13 weeks, which in
13.
television, usually with a TV show, 13 weeks, if you hit 13 weeks, you are golden. You are
Mhm.
beyond.
Yeah, yeah. That's what
So,
happened with Seinfeld.
yes, right.
13,
Yeah,
13 shows, yeah.
exactly. So you got to laugh too. That's why we say this show has a lot of love and levity. You do have to laugh. You have to, because life can be rough. Life can be, as we've seen the last couple of years,
Mm.
life can be tragic, horrible, and scary, um,
And then it can be really bad.
and then it could be really bad.
Yeah.
You have used humor in ways to comfort people, because humor is also not only a universal language, but it's a great healer too, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yes. Yes. I was married to a respiratory therapist, and she used to come home and tell me about the lives she saved that day. And I said to her one day, I just looked at her and I said, "You must feel so good doing what you do." And she looked at me and she said, "What do you think you do? You're giving out medicine. Every time someone laughs at one of your jokes, you're extending their lives."
Right.
So, I call me, I'm Dr. Nick. You can call me
Yeah.
Dr. Nick.
Dr.
OB.
Nick. So
Yeah,
she's a respiratory therapist, huh?
she was. Yeah. I mean, I'm not married to her anymore, but she was a very sweet, sweet lady.
So if she was a respiratory therapist, you married her because she took your breath away?
Oh my. And if you smelled my breath, you'd be happy about it.
Oh my God.
So,
We talked about the love of Abbott and Costello, and you pinned this, which when Chris Costello was on. Congratulations on this. Tell us again for those who might have missed that. And you can see that whole episode when Lou Costello's daughter, Chris Costello, was a guest on the Jim Master Show Live, and it was a wonderful, beautiful episode with Nick joining us as well, and it was really fantastic. Tell us about this incredible book, a complete viewer's guide to the comedy team and their 38 films, right?
38, yeah.
38 films.
They made 3 since you said that.
That's right. She annotated Abbott and Costello.
Yeah. Matthew Conium and Matthew lives in Bath, England. Yeah, I never call him because he's always in Bath. We love Abbott and Costello. Yeah. And he wrote a book called The Annotated Marx Brothers, which is a wonderful book, by the way, everybody. It's McFarlane Publishing, wonderful. But the Marx Brothers only made 13 films. And so it was a little easier to write.
Yeah.
Abbott and Costello, with their 38 films, he was too lazy and he'll tell you the same thing. He was too lazy to take it on himself. So he got in touch with me and he said, let's split it up. You do 19, I'll do 19. We'll put it together. We'll get John Landis to write the foreword, and we've got a book. And sure enough, it's like a conversation between two people who love Abbott and Costello, but who are very honest about their work.
Right.
Some is great, some not so great, some good,
Yeah.
But we wanted to put them back in the forefront because we don't feel they get the respect that other classic comedians do.
Right. That is interesting. I think you're right. And why do you think that is?
I think because they were so available now, and they were available in films that tested people's, I'll say normal people, not like me, tested people's patience, because there were songs, there were subplots with young lovers and all the stuff that used to invade like the Marx Brothers movies. So a lot of people didn't have patience to watch the whole films, and they only think Abbott and Costello is who's on first, or the verbal routines. If they stopped to watch the films, they would see Lou Costello, who was probably the best physical comedian, or one of the better physical comedians of the 20th century. He's a sound comedian who could have worked in the silent days. That's how good a physical comedian he was. But he had all the gifts of a vocal comedian as well, and improvisation, which to me is essential in a great comedian. So that's what we try to do.
Which is fantastic. And this too is something else that is
my boys.
Yes, tell us about this. Oh, wait, he just happens to have.
Just happened to have this right here. This is Kino Lorber, who puts out a lot of classic films on DVD and Blu-ray. This is The Misadventures of Biffle and Shooster. Now that's me. Oh no, that's me. I'm Biffle. And my late partner, Will Ryan, the great Disney voice artist, is Shooster. And we did a series of 5, 6 shorts like they did back in the 1930s. And we show these to people without telling them that they're new, and they think they're old. So if you love classic comedy, this is a love letter to those old 20-minute Three Stooges, Laurel and Hardy, you know, those films. Anyway, I'm very proud of this, by the way.
That is so cool, right?
Thank you.
So if they haven't seen that, where can they get it? Is that on Amazon and all those places?
Amazon.com, or you can go right to the website, the Kino Lorber website. But it's out there, and so many people have it. And I hear from people all the time. You know, I showed this to my kids. They love it, blah, blah, blah. It's just, it's classic old comedy. And I get to be the Costello, basically, you know.
How did you come up with the whole idea of it as well, you guys?
Oh, interesting. Will and I met back in 2016, and we hit it off immediately. And he called me one day and he said, "Would you be interested in making some live appearances with me as a comedy team?" I said, "Sure. What? Ryan and Santa Maria and Ryan?" He went, "No, how about Biffle and Shooster?" And I said, "What?" And he goes, "First of all, every team should have a Shooster. I mean, you've got, you know, Wayne and Schuster." And then he said
Simon and Schuster.
But anyway,
Shooster and Schuster.
Shooster and Schuster. But I said, in my ego-driven way, I said, "Why can't we use our own names? If we're going to put ourselves out there, let's use our own names." He said, "Please trust me, let's do this." So we did a few live appearances. It was goofy. It was undeveloped, but it was fun. We had a lot of fun. And interestingly, your audience might find this interesting. We played an assistant living place, older people.
Yeah.
So we planned to do all kinds of Al Jolson and Eddie Cantor and Bing Crosby. Give us Elvis, give us the Rolling Stones, give us Bob Dylan.
That's what they would ask for?
That's who these people are. They're old now.
Right.
We were completely fooled. So we did Elvis, you know, we did a few. I used to do this bit where I do Elvis without saying any words. You know, that kind of thing. And he would play, and it would sound like an Elvis song.
And you could do the lip and everything, right?
Yeah.
There
it is.
Right?
There it is. You got it.
You ever have that happen when you don't expect it, or you don't know you're doing it? Somebody says, "Are you doing Elvis?"
No, I'm reacting to the stupid thing you just said.
Exactly right. Exactly.
Not you. I mean, you know.
No. In general, the general public. Yeah.
Yes.
That is funny. So was that meant to be just a certain amount of sort of episodes, that particular series, Biffle and Schuster? Or did you want it to be something that was ongoing?
Well, we just wanted something. We wanted a persona to do live appearances with, okay? But it didn't really work out. And Michael Schlesinger, producer, writer, retired studio executive and dear friend, he got in touch and said, "Why don't we do a short subject with these guys?" So we came up with the costumes, we came up with the whole bit, and he shot a full. Joe Dante, the great director of Gremlins, was there to bless the set. And we had wonderful people. We had Danny Roebuck, who's in the new Munsters thing as Recop. Yeah. We had Bob Picardo from Star Trek. Who else was there? We had someone else. A great cast, and it was so much fun. And it was over. That was 2012, and we've longed for more. You know, but then we started doing live shows to fill in. And then 2015 comes around and Michael says, "You know what? I'm going to bite the bullet. Let's do some more." We went in, and it was like I was working at Hal Roach or Max Sennett or one of the great comedy studios. It was just wonderful, Jim. It was a dream come true. Not only starring in films, right, but starring as part of a classic comedy team, which I love so much. So it was wonderful. And I thank publicly Michael Schlesinger.
That's amazing. You know, you're also in The Producers, which is something people might not realize. Oh, and also the Genie in Aladdin
Mhm.
Tell us about that.
That's what I'm most known for. If I'm known at all, it's the Genie. Um, Way back in 2002, I was in California again. I moved there the day after 9/11. I moved from New York. Planned it way ahead of time. Had no idea they were going to bomb the buildings. So the next day, we drove cross country, my girlfriend and we relocated to California. I was not doing well. I was working on writing a television pilot with a friend. We weren't making any money, and the phone rang, and it was an old friend of mine from high school, and he said, a casting director just got in touch with me, and they're doing a big Broadway style production of Aladdin at Disney in their 2,000-seat theater, the Hyperion Theater. Well, I thought, okay, well, if you don't want to go, give me the number, I'll call him, blah, blah, blah. So I called him, and I assumed, I'd play a guard, the Sultan's guard or something.
Right, yeah.
They saw my resume and knew how comedy strong it was, and they said, why don't you come in for the Genie? Prepare for the Genie. So, okay, I went to the first audition. I wrote a whole jokey newscast, which floored them. And I got a call back immediately. And I came back, and there was no longer 2 people behind the table. There were 7 people behind the table.
So now it was serious.
I did the audition. They applauded. I left. I got another call back. They saw 500 people in 5 different states.
Wow.
Now, I was walking into the last callback, and I knew the guy who was running the audition, the monitor, old friend. And as I'm walking in, he leans into my ear and says, "They love you." It's all I needed. I went in and just destroyed the room. There were 35 people.
You said, wait, they love me?
And they all said at the same time, yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
No, seriously, it was like again, another dream come true, and everything worked. And when it was over, the director, Francesca Zambello, one of the great opera directors in the country, in the world, said, "Would you mind doing some more?" I said, what more? She goes, "Do your stand-up act or something. We don't want it to end." So I was in. Not only was I in, but I was in.
You were
in.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a big deal. I made all the newspapers, interviews. They told me that they were going to make me a star. But Disney is all about the rides. And I became another ride, basically. So I left after 10 months, and because Mel Brooks got in touch and said, "We want you with the producers." And I was with the producers, the biggest show in the world at the time.
Yeah.
For 5 years.
Nathan Lane and Company. Yeah. Right.
Matthew. And I worked with a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. What was that like?
It was horrible. Don't tell anyone. I came in.
Not the answer you expected, folks, huh?
But you'll hear the realities of show business. Susan Stroman was the director, of course, one of the great, choreographer directors. And by the time I got into the show, it was already established. It was already set. I joined the LA company at the Pantages Theater with Jason Alexander and Martin Short. Now, the opening night, I got the biggest laughs I ever heard in 5 years with that show. And I'll tell you why. The part I was playing at the time, it was an ensemble role. I played about 20 different characters. And at the end, I'm the one who comes in while they're in prison with the letter from the governor telling them that they're free. Okay? Now, this was 2003. And Gray Davis was thrown out of the governorship of California, only to be replaced by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, I don't know if you remember all this, but this is what came down.
Yeah.
Now, I came running onto the stage with the letter, and I said, guys, wait, here's a letter from the governor. And I read it, and I went, "Gentlemen, you are hereby granted a full pardon." The audience laughed for about 2 minutes while Martin Short and Jason Alexander stood there and waited and waited and waited. And it was gone the next day. And the rest of my experience was like that. I thought they wanted my creativity. I thought they wanted what I could bring to the table. They wanted a cookie cutter performance of what happened on opening night, which is the most stifling and most frustrating thing you could possibly imagine. I couldn't turn down the money or the status of the job, but I suffered. I definitely suffered. I'm a creative person, so.
Right. So you like to, run with it as you're feeling it and that kind of thing. And do you think they felt upstaged because you were getting all these laughs too? They felt threatened by that?
Yeah, I think Marty killed the joke. I think he killed it. But I have to tell you that my opening night there, I did Jason Green during the audition scene, and I worked out a whole routine without telling them and did it and killed. And Marty and Jason were off to the side at the audition table. I don't know if you remember the scene. That's our Hitler. I'm doing my bit, and they are banging the table and screaming with laughter. After I exited and the scene went down, Marty Short ran all the way around the backstage area, found me, grabbed me, and hugged me and said, "You are a comic genius." From Martin Short, one of my heroes. So I wear it like a badge.
Oh yeah, I would too, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's extraordinary. I mean, I would take that to the bank, for a long time.
Yeah.
You've had an opportunity to work with so many great people along the way too, and come across so many terrific people in television and theater and film.
You mentioned Darlene Love earlier. We were on Broadway together. Darlene.
That's right. Yeah, remind everybody about.
Yeah, I was in Grease on Broadway. It was it was Tommy Tune's revival of Grease. It was a big hit. I did it on the road for a couple of years. Then I came to Broadway. And it was a show where I got to do a 45-minute pre-show every night where I ad-libbed with the audience. Yeah. So I got that out of my system, during that time. So it was a wonderful, wonderful gig. I loved it.
What an experience, huh?
Mm-hmm. And I worked with such great people. Adrian Smed is
yes, he was a guest on our show a few weeks back.
I know.
It was fantastic.
I watched and I said hello. I typed in hello.
And that's right, you did. And his sons are, of course, performers too. They got their band.
Great performers. They have a great
brothers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Adrian's a doll. He's such a sweetheart. And he was in his late 40s during the time, and he got away with playing Danny Zuko. We believed he was 18.
Isn't that amazing?
It is. You talk about good genetics. He was amazing, just amazing. Sally Struthers and I became good friends on the tour. Who else? I worked with what's her name? Linda Blair.
Oh, Linda Blair, yes.
When I found out she was coming to Broadway to play Rizzo, I had said to a friend of mine as a joke, I said, "You watch now, the Weislers, the producers, they're notorious." I said, "There's going to be a billboard in Times Square with her head spinning around." And sure enough, there was a billboard with her head spinning around. She was such a doll, a great animal rights activist. And they fired her 3 weeks later because she couldn't sing it. She's not a singer, They were terrible, these people. I sound like such a negative jerk.
I was going to say, this is really, he's been wanting to share these stories for a long time, and he's got the platform on the Jim Masters Show Live to do so. But you have, worked with so many great people. And
that's Rusty Frank on the right that I mentioned earlier. And that's Susan Stroman on my left. That was the opening night party.
That's
in Las Vegas. That's Las Vegas.
And Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. And Julie Newmar, huh?
I love Julie Newmar. She was at the Ruta Lee's party when she got her star on the Hollywood Boulevard.
Hollywood Walk of Fame, right? Mm-hmm. Ruta was just on only a few weeks back, her second time with us, and we got her just before she left to go to her place in Mexico. Mm-hmm. She goes to Mexico, and John Davidson is in Mexico as well.
Yeah,
they all go there for the winter time to get away from the cold.
Mm-hmm. Very Florida. Oh, there's Rita Rudner.
Yes,
very nice lady.
She was on the show too. She was fantastic. We had her just a few months back. Very dry observational sense of humor. Really terrific, huh?
I love her stand up. I think it's great.
Yeah, she's terrific. And if you didn't see that episode as well, those guests, oh yes,
Marty, Martela.
he was
He was
something, huh?
such a funny guy. He was working with his wife at this point as his straight man. And they were terrific together. They did a really nice show. He was 89 years old there, just about.
Really? He looks
Yeah.
fantastic there.
Again,
Yeah.
genetics. Yeah.
I was gonna say yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was watching something. Was what was it? You know, of the series before our time, more than likely, but the Hollywood
Palace.
Palace. Yes.
Favorite show.
Couple of routines he was on. I forget the gentleman he's on with, but he's the gentleman is the straight man.
Yeah.
Cohort.
Steve Rossi.
Yeah, Steve. That's right. Who I believe was he on a Twilight Zone or two? I think I saw him on one maybe. They were terrific together. They were funny. Yeah, and there we go.
My heartthrob when I was a kid, Sybil Danning.
Mm-hmm.
That was at Cinecon.
That's
at the banquet.
That's a great shot. And look here.
There's Miriam Nelson on the left, and that's Gloria DeHaven in the middle. And that was at June Allison's memorial.
Oh, yeah.
And there's A.C. Lyles, Paramount. I'm getting all excited. He was with Paramount since the 1930s, and he was still an executive there at this time. Also quite a, I shouldn't say that. Never mind. He's a hell of a guy. Dr. Bombay, paging Dr. Bombay.
Bombay from Bewitched, remember everybody? Yeah, what a great actor, huh?
Bernard Fox, a wonderful, wonderful guy. Dr. Bombay.
Dr. Bombay.
Bing Crosby would say it that way. Dr. Bombay. Blah, blah, blah.
You gonna sing White Christmas for us now?
I'm dreaming of a
white Christmas.
Bing's my favorite singer, by the way.
Bing is?
Mm-hmm. I don't think anyone was more musical or more right on musically as Bing Crosby.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Is that because you like to say bada bing, bada boom? Is that why?
Racist. You're canceled. Bada bing, bada boom. A little Minute Maid orange juice. Yeah, Bing's my guy. He's and I think he was one of the great actors, and he wasn't given, well, he was given an Oscar, but everybody talks about Spencer Tracy being, he was so natural. He was so natural. You know who was natural? Bing Crosby.
Yeah. Like Dick Van Dyke.
Natural.
Carol Burnett, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all natural people. Florence Henderson was that way, and they're all. Yeah, there he is again, Bombay, folks. In case
Dr. Bombay,
you joined us late.
Oh my God, that's me. Oh,
I'll let you take this one.
Yes, this was my high school graduation.
That's your high school graduation. That's the yearbook photo.
That is no. Actually, this is my bar mitzvah, and no, I was in a.
He lives in Florida, so he was in the ocean a lot.
This is actually New York City. This is an off-Broadway.
Let's see if this causes the views to go up or down. We'll find out when we do a post-show analysis.
Oh my God, I can't believe you. This was an off-Broadway show. It ran for 3 years, called Secrets Every Smart Traveler Should Know. And this is a number called,
believe me, you're from Long Island. It's all part of the
This is a number called Naked in Pittsburgh, and it's about a guy whose luggage never got there. And at the end, I would sneeze and drop the towel.
He has nothing because the luggage is still, in the airport, and the baggage going like that. Oh my God.
That's it.
That is
and
funny.
I would sneeze, and the towel would drop just as the lights went out, and you prayed that they went out at the same time. That is
Ann B. Davis.
Ann B. Davis. She came to see us. She came to see us in The Producers.
Alice.
Yeah. Alice from the Brady Bunch, and she was so sweet. Such a
Wasn't
sweet,
she?
Such a doll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She went, unfortunately, she passed, and then Florence Henderson not too far after.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was something. So she came to see, and then you got a chance to. So when you saw her, were you a big kid all of a sudden? Did you?
Oh, sure, look at my face.
Wait a minute, I'm with Alice.
I'm with Alice. Are you kidding?
You
Not
got
just
rid of
Alice.
Sam the butcher, huh?
And
Didn't let him in the door.
hey, I remember her from the Bob Cummings show from
That's
reruns,
right.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
Schlitzy, I think that was her name in the show. And she did another thing, Camp Run Amok or something like that from the 60s. I don't remember. I was a baby, but still, I loved her. And she was just
I don't remember. I was a baby.
I was a child, mere child.
You could actually go through life saying that, probably get away with it, with everything, right? I don't remember. I was a baby. Yeah, but I'm talking 10 years ago. No, I don't, late
Mentally.
bloomer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about your underwear, but yeah, look, there's that's me in Guys and Dolls as Nathan Detroit, one of my
What was
favorite
that like
roles.
being a part of that production, huh?
Oh, please. I love this show. It's one of the best musicals ever made. And to play this role was an honor.
Yeah.
Nathan Detroit, please, one of the great roles.
Isn't that cool? Isn't it?
Mhm.
Here's another great shot. Look at this. A lot of
That's the producers backstage in Houston, Theater
with
Under
Barbara
the Stars.
Bush, First Lady Barbara Bush.
And there's George.
Yeah, I see George too in the upper right. George.
I have a very funny story about this if you want to hear.
Sure, yeah.
They came to see every show in Houston, and they always came back after the show, but this time they had something to do, so they came back during intermission. Now, during intermission, everybody's getting ready for the next act, and I was the only person who was free in the hallway as Barbara Bush came around the corner. Right now, I'm not a Bush fan, but this is exciting. This is the first lady,
absolutely,
the next president, and I didn't know what to say, and I just started singing. Here she is, Miss America. And she walked by and she hit me in the chest and said, "Oh, shut up."
Then you knew she loved you.
She did, actually. Yeah. We got into the room and she kept looking at me. And I said, what is it? And she said, "George, who does he remind you of?" And George comes over to me. He grabs my hand and pulls me face to face with him and goes, "George Jr.?" And I went, "Thanks a lot." And she hit me again in the chest.
He says it, but you got hit. That's quite a
George Jr. And I went, "Thanks a lot." That's what she felt about. But it was fun, and they were nice people. Robert and Vera Gurley.
Robert and Vera Gurley, yeah, huh?
She's a little ill right now. Everybody
is Vera ill now?
Send your good thoughts. Yeah, she's got a herniated disc, and it's
didn't realize really that.
Yeah, it's really hurting her. So
hopefully hopefully send the best along. It'd be great to have her on to do a little tribute to Robert on our show and look back.
I think she would love to do that. Seriously, she keeps her husband's name alive.
Absolutely, she really does. Yeah. So if you see her at Ralph's when she feels better, let her know she's welcome to join us on JMS.
He was something. He was such.
And there's Rita again. Yeah. It's a couple of duplications, just in case you missed it. Wow, look at all this.
Yeah. Boy, it's like summer reruns.
This is like summer reruns. Look at all this. I love it. Yeah, wow.
Yeah. See? There they are, the two goofballs. There's Jason and Marty.
Jason Alexander, Marty Short. Of course, people know Jason also from Seinfeld.
Yeah, Jason became a buddy, and he I co-wrote an off-Broadway show called Real Men, the musical.
That's right. Yes.
It opened to New World Stages in 2015.
World Stages, yes.
And Jason did all our advertising. He loved the show. So he did radio commercials. I have videos of him in front of his house with us talking about the show. He's just a hell of a guy. You heard the word mensch?
That's what he is. He's really a mensch, yes.
Yeah.
That's a great shot of you guys, huh?
Yeah. We had a lot of fun. Mel gave them one spot in the show where they could ad lib because Marty was, forget it. Marty was Marty.
Oh, yeah.
So there was the scene where they go to Roger Debris' apartment, the gay director.
Yeah.
So they're left alone on stage while they go to get the director. And he called it, "This is your plum. I'm giving you this plum." So they got 5 to 10 minutes of just Marty cracking Jason up. And I was off stage watching every night because it was the funniest part of the show. It was funnier than anything in the show. And Marty was just crazy. He would go crazy. Closing night at the Pantages, they're leaving the show. We're about to go on the road with other people. And that spot comes up. And the audience has no idea what this means. But Marty reaches into his coat and hands a plum to Jason. And Jason loses it because that was their plum. So anyway, that's an inside story for you.
Or a JMS exclusive, as we call it.
There you go. It's a JMSE.
You say it, we got a graphic for it.
You don't have to get so graphic, Jim.
I was going to say, huh?
This is the only picture I have with a cast member from Gone with the Wind. That's my friend Annie Rutherford, who played Polly Holiday on in the Andy Hardy pictures with Mickey
That's
Rooney.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. MGM Starlet.
How wonderful, right?
She was the best.
I love your expression too. It's like I'm with her.
Look what I got.
I am in Hollywood royalty at the moment, here, folks.
Her and Ann Jeffries used to come to see all my shows. They were the two Annies. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Them. Yeah, they're both gone now.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And there's Sue Ann Langdon on the right, another one of my childhood crushes, and Miriam Nelson on my left.
Mm-hmm.
And this was at Glenn Ford's tribute. He was still alive, but he couldn't make it. He was very ill, and he made a video for us that they showed on the big screen, and it was so sad. Mm. He was just one step from
exiting stage left.
Stage left, definitely. Yeah. That was quite a night, though. This one I love. That is Eleanor Powell, the great tap dancer.
That's right.
Known as like the female Fred Astaire. And I went to see her at the late lamented Vagabond Theater, Revival House Theater. They had a couple of her movies, and she was there. And she was literally the nicest person I've met in show business. Such a doll.
That's incredible, huh?
Yeah. Oh, Mr. Ed fans. There's Alan Young.
Yeah, that's right, from Mr. Ed. Yeah, the series. Right.
And
what was he like?
One of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Like he would be,
And he told me a great story about Jimmy Durante when he worked with Jimmy Durante. Jimmy Durante and Gary Moore had a radio show. Mm-hmm. And Gary Moore was sort of like Jimmy Durante's straight man. But Durante used to get rough with him. He'd hit him with the script, or he'd hit him in the arm or whatever. He was rough. Durante was rough. He was physical.
Good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are.
So Gary Moore has to leave. They're giving him his own show, and they want to replace him, and they come up with Alan Young. So Alan Young does 1 or 2 shows, and Durante, who is one of those people that you never hear a bad word about, him, Harpo Marx, Jack Benny, Durante was like a saint. And he walked into Alan Young's dressing room with tears in his eyes and said, "I'm sorry, Alan, I'm going to have to fire you." And Alan's like, "Why? I just started." He said, "I noticed in the audience, every time I hit you, they felt sorry for you. We can't have that." So he was fired because he was, sensitive, basically.
Wow. Isn't that amazing? A lot of fires in this conversation, I noticed.
I have fire in my eyes.
It's a very tough industry, isn't it?
Oh, please.
It's a very...
it's why your parents never want you to go into it.
How have you survived it this long? You're still doing your thing.
I do a lot of things. I mean, I don't brag when I say this. I am an actor. I am a comedian. I am an author. I am a playwright. I am a composer. I am a lyricist. I am a teacher.
Yes. Film historian.
Film historian, definitely. I do a lot of things.
you have a paper route, and do you do an ice cream truck? Do you deliver ice cream to the kids?
Jingle, 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 jingle. Yeah,
Mr. Softy?
Mr. Soft. That was my wedding night. But no, seriously.
No, but seriously, folks.
No, but seriously, folks, if I may,
Just joined us. This is Nick Santa Claus, Maria, the Pinta. What's the other one? Coming across that big Atlantic, the big Atlantic Ocean. Look at this shot.
I'm wearing my Durante hat there.
Yeah.
And that is Joni Benny, Jack Benny's daughter.
Benny's daughter.
She was a buddy of mine, Joni.
Really?
Mm-hmm. She came to see me, and a funny thing happened on the way to the Forum, which is my favorite show to do. Done it five times, and it's the only show where they allow me to ad lib, and that's paradise to me. So Joni comes to see me, and she says, "Number one, my father would have loved you." Do you know what that meant to me, Jack Benny?
Yeah.
And then she signed my book. She wrote a book called Sunday Nights at 7 about her father.
Right.
You know and she wrote to the best pseudolist I've ever seen, Joan Benny. I'll never forget it.
Boy.
One other thing I want to mention. I'm blowing my own horn tonight, so I'm sorry.
You're tooting it too.
I was with an improv company called Mental Floss in Miami.
That's right.
For years, and it's where I got most of my education, comedy education. And one night in the audience was an actress by the name of Jane Dulo. And I had known the name because I'm a Buster Keaton fan, and I had read everything about him. And she appeared with him in a couple of touring companies and was a very dear friend of his. She found me after the show, after the improv comedy show, and said, "I'm Jane Dulo." And I said, "I know." And she says, "I toured with Buster Keaton." I said, "I know." And she goes, "He would have loved you." I'm tearing up a little bit. Buster Keaton. So keep your Oscars. Keep your
imagine?
Keep them all. I have mine. They're here and here.
Yeah, right in your heart. I don't know if you met him. I think I might have had him stop by when Chris Costello was with us on that other episode. Did you ever get a chance to work with and or meet somebody else? If you hadn't, who would have probably said some of the same things Jack Benny's daughter has said and all the others, Mr. George Burns.
Oh, George Burns. Say goodnight, Gracie. Yeah,
Did you ever get a chance to meet him or work with him or have any contact with George?
Twice. Once later on when he got his star on Hollywood Boulevard, but earlier on, around 1974, he played Carnegie Hall.
That's right.
And the night before, he did a show on Long Island in Hempstead at a high school.
Oh, wow.
I had heard about it, and my friends and I went. I still have it on cassette tape, by the way. Cassettes are, you look them up, kids.
Yeah.
So after the show, I'm known for sneaking backstage. And I went backstage, and Irving Fine, his manager, saw me and said, what would you like? I said, "I'd love for him to sign my book, and I'd love to say hello." He takes me into George's dressing room, which is full of people. And he yells, George, this guy wants to talk to you. And he goes, what is it? I said, "Mr. Burns, do you have any advice for a young comedian?" And there was a pause, and he said, "Yeah, do funny stuff." The room exploded with laughter, and I walked out saying, "I just played straight man to one of the greatest straight men of all time." So that was my encounter with George Burns. I have so many stories, Jim. I could do 10.
I tell you, right?
I could do 10 episodes and tell you these stories. It's just
It's
great.
incredible. And you can verify all that, right, George? Yeah, he verifies all that.
Good,
He's
good.
going to go down below. He hangs down below. He's got like a little bar down below, so he makes sure he
Say hi to Harry Von Zell. Okay.
Fresh. Well, actually, wait. No, he should be going up, shouldn't he?
Yes. Oh God, yes.
But no, he has a little setup here. Next. It's off camera. He makes martinis and cigars, and all kinds of things down here. I tell you. I'm working my tail off here, hosting, producing, and he's down there having. But he's earned it. What 100?
He has earned it.
I mean, he has earned it. Incredible, absolutely incredible. Here's another.
Mm.
Look at the size of that
He
mug,
just
too.
left us. He just left us.
The mug got bigger from the last time when
Oh,
you were
sorry.
on.
Wait, hold on.
It's look at the size.
3D. 3D. Yeah,
This
that last
segment is sponsored by Maxwell House.
good to the last drop.
Nice
That
drop.
was George and Gracie. That is Richard Roundtree, otherwise known as Shaft.
Yes.
He just passed away a few weeks ago. Sweet guy. Really, really nice. He came to see me in a show. I did a show for Floyd Mutrux, who was a movie guy. The 7-Ups and American Hot Wax. He also wrote the book for $1 Million Quartet, which is touring all over the world. He started a new show about Elvis called Heartbreak Hotel. And I played the narrator DJ Phillips, who was the first person to put him on the air. And Richard came to see us and he loved it. It was like a big rock and roll show. It was a lot of fun.
Wow, that's fantastic, huh?
Yeah, that was in Hollywood.
Yeah, it was. So moving west did provide some terrific opportunities and networking, contacts, projects, all kinds of stuff, huh?
Well, my last gig there, I went back to Florida in 1984 and stayed for 12 years. Got all my union cards, got all my comedy improv, more stand-up. You could work a lot more in Florida than you can as a, big fish in a small pond. So once I was done with that, that's when I got called to Greece, to Broadway, out of the blue, recommended by a friend. I didn't even audition.
And you knew who the friend was, right? Did you find out who the friend was?
Yeah. Oh, are you kidding? He again, another guy who just passed away. Comedian Brian Bradley was playing Vince Fontaine on Broadway. And he was doing that 45-minute pre-show that I told you about.
Yeah.
And he recommended me because he knew I was an ad-lib comic. And next thing I knew, I was flying into Detroit to the Fox Theater where I replaced, are you ready? Don Most.
Oh, sure. Yes.
Who was on not long ago, the Jim Master Show.
He was on our show. And of course, Ralph Malph from Happy Days, but also a lot of other things. And his album, great singer, climbing in the charts too.
Yeah, he does that.
Celebrating New York. Yeah.
A good guy, really good guy.
He really.
So
is.
yeah, I replaced him.
Colorado now. You know that?
Yeah.
Because his daughter's there and the family, and he wants to, instead of the New York Hollywood thing, he wants to be with the family. He and his wife want to be with the family, that's beautiful, isn't it?
I think it's so smart. You don't have to live in Hollywood anymore. You don't have to live in New York anymore. As long as there are computers, basically, you could live anywhere. And I would choose not to live in Hollywood anymore. It's not really what it used to be.
How has it changed from your perspective, having had access for a number of years?
Well, I had the early, I had the late 70s into the mid 80s, and then I had 2001 until I moved in 2020. So I have two perspectives. And the first time I was there, Hollywood was a real wreck. I don't know if you remember. It was drug dealers. It was homeless people shuffling back and forth. But you also had a lot of bookstores. You had a lot of places that were, to me, very important culturally that are no longer there. You have Larry Edmunds bookstore, and I think that's the sole bookstore on Hollywood Boulevard now. But they tried to clean up Hollywood Boulevard with Hollywood and Highland, which is the big shopping complex right next to the Chinese Theater. And they kind of turned it into a mall. It's kind of a soulless, I preferred it the other way. But then I preferred 42nd Street before Giuliani sold it to Disney. I like character. I don't like
sort of like authenticity and
the grit, the reality, the grit. I just like it, Oh, and behind me
Speaking of reality,
my late
McCann, right?
My late partner, Will Ryan, and Chuck McCann, who was a buddy.
Chuck McCann. Yes. Remind our audience of some of the incredible things Chuck McCann was a part of.
Well, first of all, if you grew up in New York around the time I did, he did a show every Sunday morning called Let's Have Fun. And I think it was like 3 hours long or something.
Yeah.
And he just ran wild. And I called him our Ernie Kovacs. That's how innovative he was.
Right.
So then he went on, and he's been
Was
in
that followed by
movies.
Wonderama?
Yeah,
Bob McAllister. Remember that? The snakes popping out of the things at the end, and
I was in the audience once
you
for
were
Wonderama.
you were on Wonderama
Yep.
on Channel 5,
Channel
WNEW
5.
at the time. Wow,
Absolutely.
Metromedia Television.
8 o'clock
What
every
was that
Sunday
like
morning.
being a kid in the audience of Wonderama? Wow, Bob McAllister. Was Bob McAllister there?
It was
Because I think
Bob
Sonny
McAllister.
Fox was first, right?
Yes, yes,
Then
and
Bob.
I got to meet him too, and
Did you?
he was very, very intelligent guy. He was lecturing around the country at
Sonny
that time.
Fox?
About the Broadway songwriters. He had a whole program, and it was just wonderful. And what a nice guy. We got to hang out afterwards. Again, thanks to my buddy Stan Taffel, who should be
Yeah.
on the show. I'm going to recommend him.
Absolutely. The
He's a
Wonderama used to be on for like 3 hours as well.
uh-huh.
It was a go-to show. Now this may be a little niche. I mentioned it before when a guest was on from the New York tri-state area, and they vaguely remembered it. But on Channel 2, WCBS, I believe it was Saturday mornings. It wasn't something that lasted as long as Wonderama did as far as years longevity on Channel 5, but it was on Saturday mornings on Channel 2, and it was called Patchwork Family. And it was Carol, she was on, and next to her was that puppet Rags, that big with the big orange red hair, and they just did all kinds of, it was a kid's show, but it was called Patchwork Family. Yeah.
That's not
Google
something
that,
I was
you'll see. Yeah, it was really cool, and it was very niche. It was very, very cool. And
do you remember also on Channel 2 on Saturday afternoons was the International Children's Film Festival?
oh, sure, yeah, right.
Where we'd see things like The Red Balloon, and there was one called Skinny and Fatty. I remember it was Japanese, and we got these films from all over the world.
Red Balloon we saw in elementary school, and it was, if I recall, there's no speaking, right? It's just, yeah, that was that's really, because we used to have, I don't even know if they do that anymore. We would have films like that would be shown to us as kids in elementary school. Now they say middle school, but we used to say junior high school. They would show those kinds of films, and they were fantastic.
Did you get the Dr. Frank Baxter films?
Yes.
Directed by Frank Capra?
Yes, Frank Capra, I mean. But we also had where they had consultants come in, and all the right-handed kids, they couldn't do it now. All the right-handed kids, they would lean over the desks and take the pens or pencils out of the hands of the right-handed kids and put it in the hands, the left hand. No, the other way around. The left-handed kids, they would take the pen or pencil out of the left-handed kid's hands and put it in their right hand and say, write, because it's a righty world. It's going to be easier for you if you learn to write as a righty. And none of the kids did. They went right back to, it's not something, the consultants, it's not something you could do today. That was never, but that's what they did. And I was one of those left-handed kids, and I'm still left-handed.
Well, that's a left-handed compliment. My brother, my oldest
Better than
brother,
backhanded.
Don't get violent. My brother is a lefty, and I mean not politically, but and he suffered from that. The teachers back then would bring
the teachers in, the consultants in, and say, no, take it out of your left hand, put it in the right, and write with the right.
Yet they say that left-handed people can be geniuses. You know what I mean? It's like most of the geniuses
excuse me,
were left-handed.
Or are.
No, I was talking about Vincent Canby, the great critic.
I think they have proven.
I got out of that.
Einstein had proven that they are.
They are geniuses. Yeah. So you're a genius.
People,
but Martin Short thinks I'm a genius. So
that's a day. There you go. Right.
I run circles around you logically.
Yeah, but you got the short end of the stick. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh my good. There's Esther Williams.
Wait,
Okay.
is that one of those bottomless cups of whatever?
That just no. I made homemade lemonade, actually.
My father has always said to me, Jim, you were born 30 years too late and you should have gone into comedy. Same thing. You know, if it's a New York thing or whatever it may be, but you've heard that same thing.
Oh my God, my whole life. I hear it every day, actually.
Tell us about your dad?
Well, it's my dad. My dad was a decent man, a very, very decent man, a kind man. Taught me decency, basically, through his example. But he loved old comedies like I do. And I can still remember the last time we watched Laurel and Hardy together. It was a movie called Bonnie Scotland, and we laughed until we cried together, just screaming at this great comedy. And my mom would walk by every so often and say, "How many times have you idiots seen this?" You know, we're just like, it doesn't matter. It's funny. But my mom, when she watches slapstick, she wants to clean. She wants to step into the screen and clean up what they're doing.
When she sees the pies all over the stuff.
That's what I'm dealing with here. And my whole life. She
From
just
lipstick to slapstick all in one day. That is funny.
Never got it. Never accepted it.
No, it wasn't something that was juvenile.
Oh yeah, and very male. You know, at the time.
Yeah, that's right.
Like
Three Stooges. So she probably didn't like the Three Stooges, right? Or the Marx Brothers. Yeah.
No.
Boing and bang.
I still say to her sometimes, "Are you really my mother? Are you sure we're related?" She doesn't like anything I like.
What's the answer when that's asked? Go to bed?
She says, "I'm sorry, who are you?"
You're grounded?
You're grounded.
All these years later, she's still trying to ground you.
She's still trying to ground me, but in a meat grinder. That's the problem.
That's
I was born on her birthday.
And that is
March 31st. And I was her gift. Unfortunately, she kept the receipt. So every day I'm worried.
But at least she wasn't looking for a refund. Or put you on layaway.
Leave my honeymoon out of it.
Then again. How'd you get here?
I took I-95. I hope they don't find it missing. Peter Falk.
Yeah, exactly right.
Oh,
or Sammy. Come on. You do a lot of impressions?
Huh?
You do a lot of impressions.
Yes, I do.
Why don't you throw a few at us for the holiday season?
Okay. But Hildy, you work for the paper. And darling, there's a body in the window seat. Don't you see that? That's my Cary Grant. It's one of my best. I do, strange as it may seem, Lou, they give baseball players nowadays very funny names. Nicknames? Sure, like who's on first, what's on second. I don't know who's on third. That's what I want to find out. The Three Stooges? Hey, Applehead, what are you doing? I can't see. I can't see. Why? My eyes are closed. And then he slaps him. Oh, sort of a toughie, eh? And then there's Shemp. I'll take care of it right away. Hold on a second there. Who else? I did Jerry Lewis for you. Edward Everett Horton. Oh dear me. That will never do, Guy. That will never do. I don't know. I do a lot of people, a lot of obscure people, basically.
None of the ones you just did were obscure.
Not to me.
Not to me, right?
Ooh, my private life. No, that is a $10,000 dress that I wore as Roger Debris in The Producers.
Wow.
Yeah. They flew me to New York, where I got into a cab with one of the great Broadway designers. This was a $10,000 hand beaded
Wow.
dress.
Mm.
I had to be fitted for a bodice underneath,
Yeah.
then the dress, then the shoes. And
Wow.
I don't know if you ever walked in women's shoes, but it's one of the most painful things you will ever experience. My back is still
The
not
high
changed.
heel, pointy sort of.
Mhm.
So your feet are still sort of like a triangle.
Like that, yeah. Very, very difficult. Very
Yeah.
difficult. Mhm.
Wow.
I had to do it in one of the Biffle and Shooster shorts. When Shooster's wife leaves him, when his boss is coming to dinner, I have to dress as his wife. And it was very difficult.
Biffle and Shooster shorts. That's not easy to say even once.
Yeah. Biffle and Shooster shorts, Biffle and Shooster shorts, Biffle and Shooster shorts, Biffle and Shooster. I've done over 200. I've done over 250 audiobooks, by the way.
Have you really?
Playing every character. Yeah. I worked exclusively for a company called radioarchives.com, and I did 119 books as a character called the Spider, which is pulp novels. And I have a Rolodex in my head of the great stars of the past. And these all take place in the 30s and 40s. So whenever like a gangster would come up, I'd do Sheldon Leonard, right? You remember Sheldon Leonard?
Yes, right, sure. Producer of a lot of shows, yeah.
Yeah. And I do, out you go, you two pixies, out the door or through the window.
And that's how he generally talked. That wasn't put on, right?
That's how he talked. Yeah. How are you? So he would be most of the gangsters.
Yeah.
The doctors would all be Lionel Barrymore.
Mhm.
Hold on a second there. You once called me a warped, frustrated old man. Oh, Mr. Potter, you are. And then Uncle Billy. Remember Uncle Billy? I'm all right, George. I'm all right. Yeah, I do them all.
That is funny. You enjoy doing that, huh?
I love doing imitations. I've done them since I was a little kid.
That's fantastic. Yeah. I used to read, I still do, highway billboards and stuff like that, do the whole announcer thing. I would always love, this is CBS. And would always copy that, all the voice of God announcers you would hear for all the networks and everything. Just, I think a lot of what you're exposed to as a kid, if you're lucky, you get to share in your career later on, if you,
that's
the
true.
influences early on in your life, which I think is really, really cool. Hey, we've got a little video here. We're going to show it and then we'll talk about it. It's a little surprise bonus for everybody. Let's take a look at it here and let's see what we got in the vault.
One after another, the searchlights went out and the Archie batteries gave up the fight. But even now, G8 divided his attention between trying to find the wabbit. Jagged flashes of lightning extended from its orbit. Can you tell me something else? Do these Germans determine that they believe in things that they don't believe in? He found various personal effects in the pockets, the Luger still in its holster, and the officer's record book inside his mouse. His mouse? Instantly, G8 sneezed. Excuse me. So that engine that was making the noise was grinding out the electricity for Herr Dr. Kruger's fiendish apparatus up there in the balloon basket with Debbie Reynolds. The doctor frowned and eyed him peculiarly. I can't say that. Peculiar. G8 looked in several rooms without suggest. He started out with the secret code call to his battle aces. Da 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 da. What? If I am permitted to stay here until tonight, then I can be shown enough that I can tell everybody that I meet that Donald O'Connor is a nice dancer. Maybe you'll make better time if you turn around instead of trying to go back up all the distance that we did when we did the thing of the Vandemo. You stay and hold the fort, he told Nippy and Buff. Buff? A burst of deadly Spandau lead ripped out the... A wild staccato of machine guns rent the air as the fight above G8 between some 15 Spads and 50 Fokkers raged on in a Debbie Reynolds tribute. The Wolfmen had gone out of your control and broken loose and have taken all the regular Hydrobrovina and Hamanumanana. Holy herring, Bull said, scratching his head. I never thought of that. And Gabby meowed. He discovered that now the fog didn't cover the wedge that the Yanks had slashed through at dawn, where they had later strapped the hava and jibadaga and libadubada. In a sudden lift in the fog, G8 saw that he held an ugly knife in his hand, which would cut the rope that he was dying to eat for lunch. He replaced the hood again, and now he realized that, strangely enough, the prisms of his glass were forced open to allow dogs to sing. The realization came to him that perhaps he was too late, for he knew from that purple light that already hooded Huns were in the great valley dancing the Hugadaga dance with their pants down. Tearing the helmet from his head, G8 pushed on blindly toward where he remembered. The guards dragged G8 through the door, down a flight of stone steps, into a deep basement, thence down a corridor to a heavy door. Thence? Never heard that before in my life. I'll hold Kruger off until you get those bodies out and get in your seat and start dancing the cha-cha. A long period of silence followed, while the chief surgeon made an intensive examination of the unconscious banana. If you think I'll fall for that idea, G8 smiled, you're crazier than you think I am. What? You're crazy. Sorry. Jippy? I'm sorry. He pressed his triggers and held them down. Saw the yellow sulfur traces lash out from the twin Spandau gun muzzles. I'm sorry! Longest sentences in the world. Frau Niederheim heaved a sigh of disappointment and went obediently into... Obediently, you know. G8 saw the beam gun drop over the side of the basket and land on Johnny Carson's head. Nippy and Bull had seen the note themselves and gazed with wide eyes as the story they told was the greatest story ever told. He took particular pains to turn abruptly toward the heart of the city as he left, although the opposite direction would have had a more direct route to Old Navy clothing store. Von Gunther spoke, but again his voice sounded as though it were the sighing of the trees, rather than the speech of a human who had once been Debbie Reynolds. And you're Captain Carver. I remember you from that time we went to the Debbie Reynolds concert. Land sakes! She boomed out in a deep, resonant voice. It is sure enough the real Mr. G8 I've been hearing so much about. The Master Spy. Sorry. It's hard to, it's hard to read this phonetically spelled dialogue without doing, Hattie McDaniel. He was about to rise up, but the club descended again with terrific speed that he was compelled to duck once more like Daffy Duck. The place stank with the bodies of the people who watch Price is Right. I guess you would have been still there. This is like the weirdest. I don't talk this way. It's like another language. The pilot drew anchor and turned his bow into the wind, sent the boat flying lumbering into Kate Smith's stomach. They could see the lights of the great capital city winkling into He pointed to the casing of glass around the great intelligence man's head. This is like the hardest story in the world. It's like they knew I was going to read it. The evil-looking lieutenant nodded. I will show you the way on the way out. I will sing Valentine. That wasn't what kept him from the attack, however. It was rather the possibility that the Fokker was Debbie Reynolds. Don't worry, sir, Battle assured him. I'll take advantage of all the time I have. Sorry. Nippy, Bull, and Battle plunged through into Chulung's rooms, dressed as chorus girls. I suppose, he said, that the general staff wanted to investigate the front of the building to see if they could learn what it was that was causing all of this stuff that made them sound like Debbie Reynolds. Upon arriving at the rat farm, he will be thrown in with the fiercest of the creatures. The Master Spy went into the telephone booth and changed into Clark Kent. Suddenly, with a violent twist, he succeeded in getting one loose. The rope fell from the other hand, and using a strand like a whip, he started beating himself up and dancing the cha-cha. Look here, Fräulein. It will go much easier for you if I clear my throat. They're rusty and old enough, so I ought to be able to twist them in too easy on the foot to do. Fiddly-bop-bop-diddly-bop-bop-to-do-do. Holy herring, the big fellow breathed. To hear you jabber with that guy, anyone would think you'd lived here for 35,000 years. Oil leaked from the bottom of the motor and sprayed into his face. With one hand, he smeared it over his features in hope that if he were caught on the German side and Herr Geis saw him, he would sing a minstrel song, like Jolson. He passed through the little dining room, into the kitchen, and then back to the back door, and then back again, and back to the door, and the door back and the back. That would be timing it quite nicely, according to the plans he had developed under that photomat. "Holy herring! How did you get here in that German laundry wagon?" he demanded. G8 told them briefly, but stopped when the infantrymen came close enough to give them French kisses. In a half hour, he made out in the darkness of the night, you need of the night. He made out in the darkness the promontory. Quarter a word. Give me 25 cents a word. Once more, he caught G8 in that cruel grasp, and his fingers pressed into and fled. G8 hunched forward a little, waited for the crucial moment. He pulled his release lever 3 times, with his eyes glued to the one small wing of the castle that remained. Suddenly, a loud airplane destroyed the momentum of this wonderful drama. That's from Burbank Airport. Used to be Bob Hope, but nobody knows who Bob Hope is anymore. Isn't that horrible? The road to obscurity. I just want to say, for the record, the writing in The Spider is so much better than the writing on G8. Okay, here we go. In spite of the poor connection, G8 could hear a far-off roar through the receiver. Then Major Withers cried out, "Those are the first salvos of the barrage that Germans are laying down before the drive-through window for Burger King." I'm sorry, guys. These sentences are just out of control. They're just out of control. I don't have the breath for it, and I'm a singer. Malhoy! See? Except for the roaring and cackling of the crackling flackling, the spackling was dackling on the backling. The master spy had been careful to dry out his Luger after its wedding. Its wedding? Who did he get married to? The split second that remained before it would either strike or miss him seemed like an eternity, like Frank Sinatra. "Mr. Douglas, I can't find it."
My God, that was long.
I wish they could see you listening to you do that extraordinary routine. You were doing backflips. You were wiping, your face. He was laughing
cry.
hysterically, choking. That was incredible. And boy, the guy with the censor button, boy, was he busy.
You're telling me.
No, just for everybody that wasn't that. That's wow. When did you do that?
That was made for me. Those are outtakes from 250 audiobooks. They went through them and made that 10-minute section of my mistakes as a goodbye present. And it was, I
So
cried.
those are all the mistakes?
Those are mistakes.
It sounded like you were doing a whole routine. In the beginning, it reminded me, I forgot the name of the person. Was it Boris Karloff? No, well, maybe. Who was the announcer that narrated Rocky and Bullwinkle? That whole, it sounded almost like that sort of cadence a little bit of you're telling the story ongoing. It was really.
No, those were from
and just when they were threaded together, it was kind of like,
it kills me.
You know what I mean? Like you're just doing an ongoing, and like all these pictures, you're on stage doing all of that, and all these images are passing by behind you as you're telling, like a one-man show.
Yes.
Could you imagine? I think you have a one-man show there. Outtakes.
I would love. Oh God, the outtakes make me laugh so hard.
Oh yeah, bloopers, outtakes.
Did you get all the Debbie Reynolds?
Yes.
She is. For 25 years now, maybe 30, whenever I can't think of a name, or whenever somebody else can't think of a name, I immediately say Debbie Reynolds, and it never fails to get a laugh because it's so random. And so it carried over into my book reading. Whenever I needed to grab for a name when I was making a mistake, it would be Debbie Reynolds.
You could have said Earl Scheib.
I don't like to paint him in a bad light.
But Santa Maria 2, Masters 1. I'll get you back. That is funny. And then Beach Race 2, Bikini Beach Race. There's a tiny little clip. Tell us about that, being involved in that. I mean, the variety and scope of what you've done is extraordinary and continue to do.
Well, thank you. That was during my improv days in Miami. They were doing a film. It was very 80s, like the 80s, TNA comedies you would see. And I was the third lead. and was in it all the way through. And I'm very proud of the work I do in it, although it's a really bad movie. Dana Plato is in it. That'll give you an idea.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Different Strokes and all the
Sweet
that
girl,
series.
tragic girl.
Is it?
Horrible. But I have an even more interesting tie to this. If your listeners want to hear it,
We're fit to be tied.
In the movie, in the movie was Ron Jeremy.
Oh yes. Mm.
Okay, so he plays the mafia bigwig, whatever. We work together, blah blah blah. Go ahead. Back to 2018, I was hired to do a Sunday night live interview show as the interviewer, as the Johnny Carson, interviewing the great adult film stars from the 70s and 80s. So I had everybody, but Ron Jeremy wouldn't do it. And one day I was home and I get a phone call, and it's Ron Jeremy. And he says, "Can I come over?" I said, "Why?" He says, "I really need to talk to you." I said, "Okay." He comes over. He didn't remember me from the movie, of course. Barely remembered the movie. And he sits on my couch and he tells me, "Now, next week you're going to be talking to Ginger Lynn, right? The famous adult star. She claims that I raped her when she made her first movie." And
that's what he said to you.
He said, "I will give you money if you steer her away from saying anything about that." And I said, "Well, I doubt we're going to be going there. My questions are very tasteful. I ask about their childhoods. I ask about spiritual life, blah, blah, blah."
Right.
He says, "Okay, all right, I'll trust you, but I'm going to have some money with me just in case." I'm like, whatever. So nothing happened. We were fine. She did not go there. I made sure not to go there, and it was fine. It was a great job, by the way. I really enjoyed it. I like interviewing people. It's fun. So Ron Jeremy, let's fast forward to now, accused of rape by about 30 women, is now considered insane and is now in custody for the rest of his life. So I was a part of that from 1980. When was that movie? 1992.
Was it? Yeah, 92.
And then all the way up, and now he's practically a dead man.
Jeez, that's an unbelievable story, huh? Like you say, all the different experiences, people you've come across.
Henry Kissinger. Henry
Kissinger, who just passed yesterday. Yeah, right.
Yeah, we had a very nice evening at 21 in New York.
You did?
Yeah. I was hired to do a performance for a very small select audience for the birthday of the head of Condé Nast.
Yes.
And so I did the show, and in the audience was Dan Rather and Beverly Sills and Michael Eisner, Henry Kissinger, big people. The only two people to come and say hello to me afterwards was Michael Eisner, who I would deal with later as the Genie, and Henry Kissinger, who came by, sat down, wanted to know everything about my show business career, and was charming, completely charming. I mean, I don't go along with him politically, but I will not say a bad word about him. He was a very charming, kind man.
That's amazing. Wow, that's incredible.
So presidents, secretaries.
You
name it.
What are some of the things you love most about your career, and what are some of the cool projects, things that you're working on as we, move forward in our lives?
Well, the things I'm most proud of are definitely the Broadway work I've done. The Genie is maybe number one. I helped write the show. I helped. I was allowed to ad lib at Disney, unheard of. And the money they paid me it was Broadway money. It was just fantastic. I was on the cover of the calendar section of the Los Angeles Times on Sunday, interviewed, here and there. It was quite heady. It was quite an amazing time. And I think that was maybe the most exciting time I had at Disney. But then Biffle and Shooster came along, and I always say it was the most fun I've ever had. And now that my partner has passed away, the late, great Will Ryan, it's an impossibility, but we had always hoped that we would go on and do some more. And if you see them, you'll definitely say, most of the people that see them are old movie buffs, and they say, please do more. We love this stuff. Unfortunately, we can't. So what am I working on now? The other week, I was writing to someone on Facebook, and on a post, not even like my own notification. And I just mentioned, I said, I'm thinking about writing a book about comedy teams in general, the classic comedy teams, Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello, Martin and Lewis, you name it. And about 10 seconds later, I get a message from the head of Bonaventure Press, Dave Koenig. And I love his books. His books are so beautiful. And he said, if you're serious about what you were saying, I'd like to publish it. And I said, well, okay, what do I need to do? And he said, just send me a sample chapter. I wrote it in an hour. I sent it in. The next morning, we had a contract. So my next book is called Teamed Heat, the story of the classic comedy teams.
That's incredible. That's
Isn't that
fantastic.
nice?
Yeah, that's incredible. And look at this too.
That I wrote the introduction for, because I love William Powell. There it is, introduction. And I wrote another one about an actress from the 1930s by the name of Dorothy Lee, who was a dear friend of mine. And I wrote the introduction to a book about her. And the reviewer said it was the best introduction she'd ever read. That was from Classic Images. So that's another one I wear like a badge.
Another one, yeah. And of course, look at that, huh?
Biffle and Shooster. We have 5 comic books, or you could go on Amazon and get the compendium of all 5 with extra material.
That's so cool that the comic books are a part of that as well. That is amazing.
That's Mike Kazala. If comic book fans will know Mike Kazala, he did the artwork. That's Milton Berle. That's me in the middle, and my friend Rick Rizzo on the end, holding up Berle's autobiography, which he signed for us. And we went to see him on Long Island in a show, and he was just fabulous. And he told us to stay in school. Don't go into show business.
That's amazing, huh?
Yeah, a hero of ours. There's an ad with Biffle and Shooster for popcorn. Now,
no opportunity, or you're just keeping it because he passed, no chance of somebody else replacing or taking on that role that he took, huh?
I used to tease him. Do you remember when Curly Joe came in to the Three Stooges?
Right.
His character's name was Sammy Shooster, and I told him when he dies, I'm going to get a Sammy Joe.
Yeah. So. and when Dick Sargent took over for Dick York.
Right, exactly.
Sometimes that can be unsettling if you're not sure or you're used to one character. And I mean, I think you did a great job, but sometimes if somebody's, even when on soap operas, they used to go through people, first this person's a blonde and 4'1", and now they're a redhead, 6'2", and now playing the part of Madeline. Wait a minute.
I call that progress. To start here and go there.
I guess, yes. Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I have a life of Benny Biffle. That's my name in the comedy team. He has a life on my Facebook page and other people's pages. Yeah. I have 2 Christmas ornaments coming with Biffle and Shooster on them from a fan.
That's great.
I have these stickers. Where is that? Made by a fan. That's me on the end. That's Benny Biffle.
That's the same expression you have in all the photos we showed.
It's my dumb look. But people send me stuff. They send me all this Benny Biffle stuff. They love it. So I'm here. And my page, by the way, for everyone listening, my Facebook page, go to Nick Santamaria. You'll see my picture. Actually, it's Benny Biffle's picture there. Yeah. I write my column every day. I write a Dear Diary column, and it's become
that's
quite
the official page, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's become
the official page. Yeah.
Right. And it's become quite popular. So that's fantastic. Write about all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And my website also. Come visit me, www.nicksantamaria.com.
That's fantastic. How did the name Santa Maria? How did it all come together? Because some people have asked, gee, it's Santa, then space Maria. It's not all together. How did that, tell us about that?
Well, it is 2 words. Santa Maria means Saint Mary,
That's
the mother of Jesus, who I look like right now. And but it is 2 words. It's Santa Maria, and that just happens to be our last name, and it's a beautiful last name. You'll find a lot of them in Italy and Spain, in Mexico. It's a very popular name.
It is, absolutely. We dug up the Genie picture when he was Genie and Aladdin, everybody. Look at that.
Well, that's not me.
That one isn't you?
No, the
show, one on the left.
The show ran the show ran 13 years. And I was only there the first 10 months. So,
And what made you decide, you said, to sort of move on?
I was in the makeup chair one morning, and I got a letter from Mel Brooks.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So if you're going to do the Mel Brooks.
Yeah, you can't turn down The Producers, the biggest show in the world at the time.
Yeah. If you
know how flattering that was?
Oh, can you imagine?
Amazing. And I had the perfect showcase as the Genie.
If there's anything you haven't done that you would like to do, what would it be?
Sleep with a young Sophia Loren. That's top on my list. Actually, I will be starting a podcast soon, Abbott and Costello based, and I would love to have you on it.
That would be great.
Once it gets started. But what would I like to do? I think I'd like to do. I want to do my stuff. I'm over working for other people. I'm at that stage in my life.
A lot of people are saying that now. That's what they're doing. Yeah.
I'm working on a one-man show. I'd want to go back to stand-up. I'm thinking of going back to stand-up and becoming the dad humor guy. Dad humor is such a popular term nowadays for, corny humor. What I would do is work it into a kind of a hip act, but under the guise of like dad humor. I'm an older guy. And I could also, I also thought to myself, and maybe your listeners have, or viewers have an opinion about this, but nowadays they don't know what the Catskills were. They don't know what that style of comedy was.
Borscht Belt. They
have no idea.
No.
It's new.
Alan King and all of Buddy Hackett, all of them.
So it's new to them.
It's what goes around comes around, right?
Exactly.
It's like music too. Music is, a lot of people are rediscovering some of the other material and coming out on vinyl and loving it. Like, when did this come out? Is this new? No, that came out, 30, 40 years ago.
I used to do a character in my improv show. We would do a show in the middle of the show. We would do the mating game, and we would get a woman on stage, and 3 of the guys would, be behind her as different characters. And my host character became really popular. His name was Shecky Weisenheimer, and he was from the Catskills and vaudeville. And the young kids, the college kids, loved it. Every joke, they loved it. So I'm thinking to myself, this is new. This is new stuff, So I'm going to go with that style, and it'll be new to an entirely new audience.
That's fantastic. Good way to do it and expose them to some of the legendary material. Here you are.
That's me on the left. On the left.
That was really, it is quite an honor to be a part of such a legendary thing as Aladdin, huh? And the Genie role.
I agree. The reviewers said, we're so glad he was so smart not to imitate Robin Williams, but to do his own thing. And that's exactly what I did. And you could see the whole show on my channel on YouTube.
What you did, really?
The whole show is there.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And never had any like copyright stuff, huh? Copyright claims or any of that pop up with it? Because usually sometimes anything you put on there,
let me tell you why.
If there's music involved, the music usually is the trigger.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. But so many people recorded that show and posted it. People, 2,000 people with phones, up like this.
Yes.
It was an incredible spectacle. It was a $10 million show.
Yes.
And most of the people were from Broadway.
Yeah,
So
absolutely right.
very
Absolutely
popular.
right.
Very popular.
This was an awesome conversation, my friend. I'm so glad that, I said, we chatted about and really focused on Abbott and Costello and Lou Costello, which I think was really fantastic. And to have Chris on was a blessing. And I'm sure she's welcome back anytime. But I was fascinated by some of your extraordinary work and all the things you've done and continue to do, and how you also celebrate and preserve the industry. You preserve and celebrate the artists and, all of these things from film and television and comedy and stage, and kind of like what we're doing here, though we talk about everything on this show. And there's not a lot of that out there. Like you say, introducing it to folks who haven't had a chance maybe to see it, different generations, and sort of paying it forward in a way, which I think is a great thing. So I said, let's have him come back and we'll do a Nick special.
Sounds like a gun.
Not Nick Jr.
I am a Nick Jr. actually.
Right, yes, see?
Yeah. Nice call.
Just in the nick of time before he gets called away to the North Pole being Santa.
Yeah, Santa.
This was really a pleasure, my friend, and I truly hope
too.
we even had George Burns stopping by, and there's the I Dream of Genie bottle. There's the other Genie. And it was a pleasure, truly. And spread the word about our show. Other folks in all kinds of different disciplines. They're all welcome to join us here on the program. As you know, it takes a village. And I hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you, my friend.
I certainly did, Jim. This has been such a pleasure. Thank you.
The pleasure is all mine. And as I've said several times before here and many years prior, my father has always said and told me when I was 7 years old, Jim, whenever anybody says something kind or nice, always thank them. Always thank them for that. But please put it in writing and address it management.
Yes.
Yeah, telling a 7-year-old, but that is so true. That kind of advice you would get.
And look at the impression it made on you.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yeah.
From 7 years old?
Actually, yeah, a lot of, I was always a keen listener, observer. So as a kid, soaked up a lot. We did plays in the garage, in the bedroom. We did all kinds of creative things. And, I actually, when I was a kid, I built, my father helped in the basement, built a replica of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Wow.
The actual, when you see the beginning and the end of the series, maybe why I've worked all these years with public television, but Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, we actually built like a replica of it.
That is incredible.
We had the Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars on the Lionel trains, all those cool things. And, so we did all of that. But I had the cassette recorder with the microphone and interviewing the relatives. And so it was really starting, I used to also take the cassette recorder, and I would, if there were theme songs to shows I liked and everything else, put it up to the actual speaker of the television and record it on cassette.
I used to record full movies and listen to them at night when I'd go to sleep.
Right. Yeah.
And I memorized all the movies.
You did, huh?
Road to Morocco.
And in those outtakes, he reenacted them all for you tonight. That was all the movies he remembered. That is funny. That is funny. This is great. You're the best, my friend, Nick Santa Maria, fellow Long Island kiddo. And so great to have you here. And you're in Florida. Is there any good pizza around there? Or
actually, Lorenzo's 10 minutes from
actually,
there.
they're all, actually there is. Was it harder to find it in California?
Definitely. This guy is a Brooklyn Sicilian, and he makes the best pizza in town. California.
You notice how when he said that, he went like this? This guy is a Brooklyn Sicilian. Yeah.
So racist.
Yeah.
You're canceled, Jim. You're canceled.
No, you said it, Santa Maria.
And I'm canceled.
I'm just the observer, the listener. I'm keeping the train on the track. He probably would love you say that. As long as you buy his pizza, have a slice or two.
You're on.
But yeah, in Florida, well, like you said, there's a lot from the Northeast and
A lot of New Yorkers.
Yeah.
New
So
Yorkers.
you get a lot of good pizza and everything.
Mhm.
This was a hoot, and this was meant to be fun, folks. We hope you had a good time. And, we always, our shows, a lot of guests say we're bringing back the lost art of conversation. I don't call these interviews. These are conversations like Cavett and Carson and Merv and Mike and Regis and Steve Allen and Parr and all the legends, but with a modern twist, modern vibe of today. So we thank everybody for stopping by the show. We thank our very, very special guest, Nick Santa Maria, for joining us here on the program. Gang, if you absolutely enjoyed this episode, a little homework, nothing too heavy. Give it a like, leave a comment. Yes, we love comments. Leave comments on the comment section of the episode, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. It does take a village, and I can't believe in the 3.5 years so far and counting, 1,035 episodes as of this one, my friend.
That is incredible. Seriously, incredible.
A lot of levity, a lot of chat, and it's there's TV series that have been on 10 years that have not done that amount of. How many did Seinfeld? Did they get to 500 or 100 or something?
Yeah, well, I mean, they had 9 seasons, so that's a lot. That's a lot of shows.
It's a lot of shows we've done, and enjoying them all, and
this is what they shows. What is what they shows.
You're right. Since Sonic wanted to know if you also composed anything for Disney's Aladdin. He was asking that.
What was that? I'm sorry.
Synth Sonic is here.
Oh, are you the composer for Disney Aladdin? No, that was. I did work with the composer. In fact, there's a soundtrack recording on Disney Records that I'm on. And by the way, I mentioned earlier. Thank you, Marilyn. I mentioned earlier that I was in a show called Secrets Every Smart Traveler Should Know. That's on RCA Victor.
Yes.
So yeah, I've done that too. I've got 2 soundtracks.
That's fantastic. That is great, huh?
Yeah.
Cool stuff, my friend. We're going to, as I always say, keep the porch light on for you. Do you know that we chatted for just under 2 hours?
Wow. I told I take care of my mom.
It doesn't every guest, and even me, it doesn't feel like it. It just,
no, not at all. I thought we were on for an hour.
If it felt like it, I would have shut it off an hour and a half ago.
Right. I was saying,
Nick, that's great. I appreciate that.
My name is Nick.
You be well, Nicholas, and we'll see you again soon. Hurry, shut it off quick. Start the music and the credits quick. No. We always have good
abandoned. I've been abandoned.
You've been abandoned in Florida, in the Everglades. He's amongst alligators.
And those are just the people. But let me tell you, if I may. Okay, best joke I made during Grease, during the ad-lib section. I asked a guy, "What's your name?" And he said, "My name is Gutterman, but my friends call me Guts." And I said, "Oh, well, it's a good thing your name isn't Putterman." Anyway, with that,
I say I'm gonna go make a sandwich. My friend, high five. Happy holidays to you.
High five, pal. Merry Christmas, happy whatever, and thank you again. This has been a total pleasure.
Again, spread the word. It takes a village. We're always welcoming all kinds of folks to the show. So this is how we do it. And it's conversational, easy, fun. And sometimes we get into deep conversations too about life, which is what I love to do as well. And it was awesome having you back. And again, wishing you and yours blessings for the holiday season. You said you take care of your mom. She's there. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing too, huh?
Thank you. It's tough, but it's fun.
It's gotta be, yeah.
She's
somebody always who's enjoyed Christmas and the holidays.
Oh yeah. Very much so. Yeah.
You're doing beautiful work. When you're a caretaker, and I've interviewed in my professional life, a lot of people have been caretakers, and there's been, some in the family as well. It's one of the hardest jobs, but one of the most beautiful jobs, whether it's something you've picked to do or something that just came your way, but to take it on and to do it and manage your life and career and continue being Nick and doing what you have to do, but taking care of somebody that means so much to you is really an absolutely beautiful thing to do. And it also speaks to, under all this humor and all the fun and all the levity, that's the levity part of you. And it means,
Thank you, Jim.
you know,
Thank you.
It means the world that you do something like that.
Thank you very much. I'm just trying to buy my way into heaven. That's all.
That's it. Yeah, well, I think you got that ticket already. Yeah, that's it. You got the ticket. Just don't hop on the bus quite yet. There's
Not
more. There's more levity to be shared.
And levity.
And levity, my friend. Absolutely. You be well. Best of the holidays, and we'll chat again soon. Okay.
All the best to you, Jim. Thank you.
All right. You take care, Nick.
You too. Bye, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Nick Santa Maria here on the Jim Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show Series. How much fun was that? There he is again in Aladdin as that key role of Genie. We showed you a lot of cool things. Of course, great having him here for our exclusive live uncut, meaning unedited, raw, real, live, just like live television and live radio. Best way to do it. Ad-libbing and just having a good conversation. Nick Santa Maria joining us. And as I said, this time of the year, it's always great to have a guest on that has Santa in the name. It was really, really cool. You know, we talked about Adrian Zmed as well with Grease, who was also in Grease. If you didn't see the episode with Adrian Zmed, of course, not only from Grease, but so many other incredible things in his life. We had a great conversation with legendary actor, singer, performer, dancer, Dance Fever too, remember that too. TJ Hooker with William Shatner. Adrian Zmed was a guest on our show. Check that episode out. It was fantastic. Many of the people we talked about actually on this episode of the show have come through as guests. Ruta Lee, she was a hoot. I tell you, do you remember when Ruta Lee was a guest? She was a guest twice on our show, legendary Hollywood actress. And I did the whole introduction about her career and reminding us all about her epic career and all the wonderful things she's done. And when she came on the screen after I sort of reminded everybody about the epic things she's done in her legendary career in television, music, stage, film, and all, she said this is her quote. She says, "That was the best damn obituary I've ever heard in my life. When that time comes, I want you to be the one that does it." That's Ruta Lee. She's amazing. Hey, I want to let you know we've got a fantastic actor. He was on the Fox series, The OC, and lots more. Bradley Stryker is going to be with us for an exclusive live uncut interview here on the Jim Masters Show live tomorrow. That's an afternoon show, 4 p.m. Eastern, and that would be 1 Pacific. So 4 Eastern, 3 Central, 1 Pacific. And for those watching around the world, just take a look at your time zone and match it up with ours here. We generally go by our Eastern time zone. That's where we are here. He joins us tomorrow. He's a prolific actor, director, writer. Bradley Stryker joining us for the first time right here on the Jim Masters Show Live. We always have a lot of fun on our show. We always have a lot of good times with all of you. And that's what we like to do because we realize there's a lot of crazy, serious things going on out there in our world. And for all these years now, we have been coming at you here in Levity Hall with entertainment and information and surprises and deep conversations, poignant moments, viewer interaction, and whatever we can muster up for all of you. And thanks for the love and the support, and continue to spread the word. Again, give us a like, click like on the the thumbs up icon. And if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, don't forget to click the notification bell icon. There's a little notification bell icon. It's important that you click that. You know why? That way you never miss an episode of our series. When you click that notification bell icon, we send you an alert. Hey, coming up on the show is this guest, this day, this time, that kind of thing. So you never miss anything. And again, we encourage and welcome you to leave comments on the actual YouTube channel underneath the episodes. When you do that, that helps us continue to get the word out about our show, and more people around the world get to see these shows as well because of the way the algorithm works on the platform. YouTube. That interaction allows the episodes to be seen in a wider variety of audience. We also welcome all of our new subscribers. We have a lot of new viewers and thousands of new subscribers who've joined us recently from all around the world. And that is unbelievable. And we welcome you. Hopefully there's something you're getting from what we do here, which is unique and special, and you're a part of it, watching and being a part of it in the way that you are. We really thank you so very, very much. I can't thank enough. I try to do that on these episodes. You can also follow me on social media if you aren't already. I'm on Twitter, which is now called X, at Jim Masters TV. Instagram, come follow us there at Jim Masters TV, and also on Facebook, Jim Masters TV, and of course, the YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Lots more great episodes coming up. Let's see. Next week, Sharon Gless, iconic actress Sharon Gless, is going to be with us. She starred on Cagney and Lacey, that epic series on CBS, and so much more. Got a fabulous new book out. She's going to be with us next week. Now, if you're watching this episode a year from now, that would be old news. Of course, we're talking to our live audience. Just scroll back and see the episodes. And don't forget, you can binge watch. We archived all the episodes, the JMS episodes, on our YouTube channel. So you can actually, you can go back in time and see the hundreds and hundreds of guests we've had and have a good time watching and binging and sharing and all the rest. So that's it. I'm going to go and eat something. It's been a busy day. I was on the radio all day, 5 radio shows. And then I've got a television shoot Saturday morning, and then another shoot next week. And then I think there's like 25 episodes of the radio series that I'm going to be hosting next week. And talking about wearing a lot of hats like Nick, I work on television and on radio and do stage and film, but I work for a lot of different shows and stations and have done a lot of different things in news and in entertainment and continue to on networks, radio and TV networks, shows, specials in my professional world. And this series sort of plays off all that. So thanks for stopping by Lovity Hall. It was a crazy busy day, and so great to have you with us to round things out here. And come see us again tomorrow. Bradley Stryker, fabulous actor. You've seen him in so many things. He's going to be sharing some exciting news about a new thriller he's in, and his wife's actually starring in it with him. We're excited about that. And boy, do we have a lot of surprises coming up for you. And if there's folks you'd like to see on the show, certainly let us know as well. And good times here at JMS. We're going to wrap up for now. Thanks everybody for all these great comments. We really appreciate all this levity, and it's so nice to see you guys here. And you are really, really fantastic. Look at all these great comments. Thank you, gang. We love all that. And for those who are, and even Nick, he's fast, huh? Hi, everyone. Thanks for your kind remarks. You are a wonderful audience. Yes, the JMS Lovities, the ones you see commenting, and the thousands more who are watching, who comment later, who write us privately, or just watch and enjoy. Yes, I've done hundreds of voiceovers. Everyone have a wonderful holiday. You too, Nick. Santa. It was nice to have you on the show. Nick Santa Maria. And thank you for all these great comments. You guys are the best. Kathleen says people are drawn to you because you are the best and make everyone feel like they matter. I thank you for that. Thank you, Kathleen, for that beautiful comment. I really appreciate that. That's kind. And Maureen in Arizona seconds that. Absolutely spot on, Kathleen. No one does it like the Master Jim. You're the best of the best. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Next week, I'm going to be on stage a week from tomorrow at Carnegie Hall in New York City, and I can't wait. I've had the luxury and the great honor of being on stage at Carnegie Hall multiple times, and as host and master of ceremonies, which is extraordinary. And I'm going to be doing that once again and joining all kinds of fabulously talented friends from the music world and theater world and stage and television at the iconic Christmas with Tim Janis and special friends. Of course, Tim is a epic composer and arranger. He's had multiple PBS specials. Matter of fact, I met Tim and Tim met me when I interviewed him on public television here in America, and we stayed friends ever since. And I've worked with him, hosting, specials that he's done. And we've worked with a lot of incredible people. Mairead Nesbitt, from Celtic Woman, the fabulous Celtic violinist. She was just on a couple of days ago. She's going to be performing on stage in a full orchestra, 150 voice choir, and all these fabulous folks. Again, celebrities and very, very popular, talented people in music, film, television, and stage are going to be joining us. And I'm the host and MC, and really looking forward to that, which I've done multiple times on stage for the Christmas concerts at Carnegie Hall with Tim and all of our friends. Tim's a friend and everybody, and we always have a wonderful time. And I was just, reviewing the scripts and the things, my intros and outros and all that fun stuff, and really looking forward to it. It's a great honor, and I'll be doing it again next week here at the midst of the holiday season on stage, Carnegie Hall. They just lit the Christmas tree at Rockefeller Center last night. I don't know if you saw the special, but Cher and Darlene Love and Barry Manilow and Kelly Clarkson was the host on NBC. And of course, they had the gang from the Today Show as well. So we're going to be there. We're going to go over, usually after the Carnegie Hall show, a group of us like to go over to, we grab something to eat, we go for drinks, and then we go over to see the tree. But one time we actually went where the tree was shut off. We got there too late and the tree was off. We're like, wait, we thought the tree was on 24/7, and for some reason the tree was off by 11 or 12. I don't know what the reason was, but it was before the pandemic. So we're gonna have a good time, and we'll be. We've got a lot of, John Tesh, the extraordinary musician, former host of Entertainment Tonight with Mary Hart, extraordinary author, and of course, his Intelligence for Life radio series. He's a wonderful friend. I interviewed him several years back on PBS for his incredible special at Red Rocks in Colorado. He was just a guest on our show, and he really opened up about his life and surviving cancer. And of course, his wife is the beautiful and wonderful actress Connie Selica. And we're going to be seeing John Tesh. John was on our show, so you can see the episode in the archives. He was just on like 2 weeks ago or so. It was a great conversation. Check it out on our YouTube channel. We're going to be seeing John next week as well. Next week, boy, that's busy. We're going to be seeing John Tesh for his Christmas tour and Christmas concert next week. And then I'll be on stage at Carnegie Hall for the big Christmas show, Tim Janis. And if you're in the New York area, come see us, and it'll be fabulous. And yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on. Busy time of the year, and a happy and a merry for all of you. Got to decorate our set a little bit here for the holidays. It's been just such a busy time, but wishing you continued blessings for the holidays. We just went and enjoyed Thanksgiving, of course, and I hope you had a beautiful Thanksgiving, those here in America. And of course, a few weeks earlier than that, our fabulous friends in Canada had their Thanksgiving. It is not just Thanksgiving, but it's really a good time every day to say thanks, to live in gratitude. Very important. A lot of people preach it, but don't live it. I think it's important to live in gratitude and be thankful. Life is very short. Life, if you look at the physics of life, it's not long. Even if we get to 100, that's not long enough. So you got to enjoy every day. And when we started this series, it was just me talking to camera. We didn't have all these guests. Guests started to wanting to come on the show, and some of the folks that I know, celebrity friends and others, and people I've interviewed on television, radio over the years, wanted to come on. And so it sort of grew into featuring all of these fabulous guests from all these different areas of life, TV and film and child stars, Hollywood music, food, all of it. But it was a lot of me talking to camera, which I love doing, and talking to all of you. I really hope that, you know, you live in gratitude and you're thankful and you count the blessings. I know those are cliches that a lot of people throw out there, but it's really important to do it because we're here now. We're together now. Here we are in Levity Hall now. So wherever you are, whatever age you are, whatever your background is, your upbringing, your gender, your height, your weight, your income, your eye color, none of that matters here on the Jim Master Show Live. As long as you stop by, you get something out of it, maybe some of the poignant moments, the laughter, the deep conversations, maybe you learn something, maybe it rekindles memories for you, if it's somebody, you know, we have on maybe from the past, or whatever it is you get when you stop by JMS. If there's something you're left with that inspires you and entertains you and makes you think and makes your day better, I'm doing my job. And that's what I love doing. So I do that professionally. And this is, I always say that professionally, like the other work is, it is the other work. It's the bill paying work, the professional work on television and radio. But this is too, we treat this professionally. So I always separate the two, but let's lump it all together. This is what we do. This is who we are. This is what we're about. And with that, it's time for a sandwich. I don't know about you, but I am hungry. It's been a very busy day. We've been up since 6 a.m. Eastern time, and it is now 9:30. And we've been talking all day in the various ways, shapes, and forms. Love you all. Thanks for being with us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, stick with us as long as you're there. You know, people have always asked me, they still ask me, hey, Jim, you know, were you only going to do this during the pandemic? Was this something you were just doing during the pandemic? Because I had the luxury of being busy in my career during the pandemic. I know the world stopped, but, you know, working remotely and other things, I was able to continue working in my field through technology. And then I created this show during that. As long as you're here and you're having a good time, because these shows are a lot of expense. There's a lot of expense and a lot of work to put it all together, you know, just creating the content and the streaming and all that goes on behind the scenes. It's a very, very big, monstrous process. But if you're loving it and you're enjoying it, makes it all worthwhile. So, gang, thank you very much. This has been a lot of fun, and I really appreciate it. And yes, come see us again, Kathleen. Yeah, you saw us at Carnegie Hall. Come see us again. We're having another great time with fabulous, fabulous guests. Next Friday, it's going to be. And I think you're going to really enjoy it if you come see us at Carnegie Hall in New York City. And you won't have to practice, Kathleen. Just get a ticket. And that's it. And thanks, Jane, watching in Sweden. We appreciate that as well. Thank you for being here. Come back. All the rest. Everybody, we appreciate this. And good stuff. All right, gang. We are going to scoot off. I'm starving. And don't forget, tomorrow, Bradley Stryker is going to be here from the Fox series, The OC, and lots more. Great actor, writer, director, multi-award winner. It's going to be with us at 4 p.m. Eastern. It's an earlier show. I have a bunch of radio shows that I have to host in New York. And then we'll be here at 4 Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific in Levity Hall on JMS for this episode, and looking forward to it. And again, if you didn't see the episode with actor Adrian Zmed, check that out. That is a phenomenal episode as well. One more time, what the heck? Thank you, Nick Santamaria. What a great time we had. A lot of laughs, a lot of fun, and very enjoyable. Exclusive live uncut, says interview, I know. But we say interview because most people, they like interview. But here it's really a conversation. Good conversations. All right, we're going to scoot off. We always say that 100 times before we actually do, but we shall do that now. Thanks for being with us, gang. Spread the word, like, comment, subscribe, all the other things we said earlier, and stop by and see us. Helps us grow, but we also love having you here, live or Memorex. If you're watching this archived, Thanks for being with us as well. This is your host, Jim Masters. Thank you for your time this time. Till next time, I'll be waiting for you right here in JMS Levity Hall. Come see us again. Let's have some fun. Make some magic together here on the Jim Masters Show Live. Appreciate you being here and stopping by and taking the time. I realize you got a lot of things to do in your busy life, and the fact that you're here with us means a lot. We'll see you again on the next one, okay? Be well, and cheers.